guilty of crime.
Hello, everybody. What's up? I am Jay with Guilty of Crime, and we're back. StreamYard was having a bit of trouble here, and I want to say shout out to everybody waiting for me, especially today in the Jon Benet Ramsey case, which may be very close to being solved, you guys. You're going to hear it first from me because the new interview with her dad, we talk about the DNA and the updates in the case, guys. Yes, this is this is Art. It's Art the Clown. And we were out doing our due diligence for my house, getting my stuff today. Yes, Purple Hat again. I've been cold out doing chores. And I'm back. You guys do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and please get a membership if you can. I'm going to do giveaways, folks. There's giveaways coming and lots of more members only content. So please, what's up? Jesus certified, my girl. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I also want you guys to know that I have new updates, not only in the Madeline Soto case, but in the Naziah Harris case. We've got some FOIA documents coming, you guys. So we're going to get the real deal information, and there's new pictures that came out. You guys might see the new pictures on other channels, but the other channels aren't mine. And also, what else do I have for you? I have lots for you guys. So much to talk about. Yes, they released new documents. We've got more information, folks. The FOIA request, we've got it. And Carly works on those. Bree works on those. If we bring those together, Guilty of Crime has our own, so we don't have to go over to the docket. Plunder, I'm all good, but I'd rather have them myself. And the only reason that I can do that is with you guys, the help of the crime crew, and the wonderful mods. So thank you guys for being here. You guys know that not only in the Jon Benet Ramsey case, but in the Menendez case, that we're that there's things that are coming up that are changing, and we haven't got to them. And I know the biggest shows around here are Madeline Soto. So keep the people coming in. Nikki, thank you for being a member for a fast 3 months. Love your channel. Sadie's mama, I love you. My day one, 11 months. I've only been streaming for a year in February, and you've been here the whole time. What's up, Ashley and Elmo? And you guys, Nanaska sent me a really good detailed, some good information on the Madeline Soto case and some moments. Some, oh my goodness, what? All right, so that's in that case. But in this case, let's get into this. This just came out a few days ago, and I want you to know, guys, that new DNA evidence did come out in the Jon Benet Ramsey case, and it was out. It wasn't new. It was, they've had it for all of these years, and they haven't shared it with us, but there is DNA that clears the family, all the family. There's foreign male DNA that has nothing to do with any of the family members, which is wild because we've been, and I say we, Deception Detective, my channel has been coming at the, not only the the brother, but the mom, the dad, the ransom note. Yeah. I am a tease, girl. I am a tease. Janet at the beach. I tell ya. I usually tell you guys everything right up front, but some things I got this little thing on my shirt and it's bothering me. Some things I just have to leave you in suspense. All right. Let's watch this for a quick second, and then we're going to get into Dad's interview.
Update in the infamous decades-long cold case surrounding the murder of 6-year-old beauty queen Jon Benet Ramsey. Sources telling ABC News that progress is being made in the investigation.
Yes.
Obviously a homicide. A criminal act has been committed. Somebody did it.
According to sources close to the investigation, a team of experts is going through the remaining evidence using the most modern scientific and cold case techniques to try and crack the case. It was the day after Christmas in 1996 when Jon Benet's parents discovered their daughter was missing from their Boulder, Colorado home. A handwritten ransom letter demanding $118,000 was left behind on the stairs by the kitchen. Hours later, the father, John Ramsey, finding the young girl dead in the basement. The unsolved murder captivating the nation.
Jon Benet's murder has frightened residents of Boulder.
No one could believe something could happen to a family like that. And I think that was part of the intrigue.
Hey.
Jon Benet's parents and brother cleared of her murder in 2008 after additional DNA evidence was discovered.
Someone killed this 6-year-old child.
The crime now back in the public eye, due in part to the newly released Netflix docuseries, Cold Case, Who Killed Jon Benet Ramsey? The Boulder Police Department releasing its annual update a month earlier.
I'm going to play a clip in a second, Kylie. It's going to answer it. But yes, there's actually new DNA evidence in this case. This update is from 2 months ago, and then I've got another one from 3 days ago with the father. Yes, the police have been holding out on us, and this case has been happening for a long time. And Carrie, you can talk to us in chat about what you know or what you've read. I can't play a Dateline or a 2020 on here because it will get smashed. All right, but yeah, you guys, do me a favor and go ahead and chat away about what you know in chat. The more the merrier. Again, like, subscribe, share. Let's get this out there. Come on, there's new evidence here.
Earlier, citing increased attention on the investigation.
I beg anyone that has information that has not been previously shared with us to contact us, and that includes those responsible for this crime. Please help us in our efforts to secure justice for Jon Benet.
All right, we're going to listen to a little bit more of that when we go into the courtroom with Nate Eaton and that interview. Let me play a few of these just to get you guys hyped up. I'm going to play a few minutes of this case reopened. This is from 3-4 days ago. And I want you guys to know that they weren't looking at the parents, but they were letting the media focus on the parents, and they're letting speculation run wild. Seems like a housekeeper knew a lot. Yeah, just wait up and listen to that. You'll see what's going on. And never forget about being a little girl and seeing this on the news. Yeah, and it's back on the news. I did not just dig this up and say, oh, let me dig this up and do an old case. You guys know that. All right, my hair is the regular color, girlfriend. Regular color. I just have a beanie on because it's a bit chilly. All right, so you guys can get that hair if you want. I don't have a hawk right now. That's why I'm wearing a beanie. All right, guys, 420 memberships coming 29 years later, and they still haven't. Now, remember, Gary Oliva confessed, and Gary Oliva has been in prison on related charges with or for SA, for child, for CSAM, guys, for CSAM. All right, so let's get that back on. All right. Yes, we're working towards it. Listen up, guys. Listen, this is all new.
Deputy coroners brought the body of 6-year-old Jon Benet Ramsey from her upscale home. Neighbors described the young girl as beautiful and polite. In 1995, she won the Little Miss Colorado pageant. Boulder police won't comment on her cause of death, only saying that she wasn't shot or stabbed. They are investigating her death as a homicide. So far, no arrests have been made.
The Jon Benet Ramsey case isn't just another true crime mystery. It's a chilling enigma that has haunted the world for decades. A sinister puzzle drenched in unanswered questions, fueling endless speculation and fear. This isn't your typical whodunit. This is the kind of story that seeps into your nightmares, the kind that makes you double-check your locks at night. And just when we thought we had seen it all, boom! New evidence has surfaced, threatening to upend everything we believed about that tragic Christmas night. There's a lot to unpack here, so buckle up and brace yourself.
Yeah, buckle up. We're gonna unpack some of this, guys, so you guys understand. Like I said, this is all from 3 days ago, and then when we get into the dad talking, John talking, it's all new. We did not go back to the old school. This is an old school case, but we're here to bring it to the forefront. All right, we got more coming this week. New cases. Hopefully we can get the information on the Madeline Soto. Carly, if you're around, let me know how that's coming, you guys. Boom. Let's go. I'm hyped up.
Because things are about to get intense. To set the stage, Jon Benet Ramsey was only 6 years old when her life was brutally stolen. A pageant queen with golden curls, a radiant smile, and a future brimming with potential. But on Christmas night, 1996, something unspeakable happened inside her family's Grand Boulder, Colorado mansion. The next morning, her mother, Patsy Ramsey, stumbled upon a ransom note. A note so bizarre, so chilling, it sent shivers straight down her spine. And just hours later, Jon Benet was found. But it wasn't in some hidden location or far-off place. Her lifeless body was inside their own home.
Now, I agree about parents not putting their kids out there like this. This irks me a little and creeps me out. I know people that watch my show probably do pageants, especially in other states like Colorado, like, states like that, states like a little less California or New York, fast paced, right? They like those pageants. They like those things. But I just urge you, when you're putting out pictures like this of your child, especially in 2025, you're gonna get Gary Olivas or Stephen Stearns. You're gonna get these creepers, all right? And Carrie, we're getting into that. We're gonna get into hopefully most of your questions.
Suspicious doesn't even begin to cover it.
Hit the like,
and
guys.
Here's where the real chaos begins.
Ms. Jon Benet Ramsey. If Jon Benet Ramsey was still alive, she'd be about to turn 32. Instead, a little girl who loved to show off in junior beauty pageants only made it to 6.
The case didn't just make headlines, it ignited an all-out media firestorm. A frenzy unlike anything before, gripping the nation and refusing to let go. People couldn't stop obsessing over it. Was it a tragic accident covered up by the family? Or was there an intruder lurking in the shadows that night? The theories were endless, some logical, others downright insane. But one thing was clear. Everyone had an opinion. And in the middle of it all, Jon Benet's parents, Pat.
And John is still out there. He just did an interview recently with Crime Junkies. And I was going to play the Crime Junkies one because Deception Detective did that. But Deception Detective is questioning John. And when you listen to the new interview with Nate Eaton and the courtroom, it's so much different than I thought it was going to be. That right now, I'm completely not convinced that he had anything to do with it. There's 111 people in chat, you guys. Say a prayer for Jon Benet Ramsey and whatever family she has left, including her father, that we get justice, all right? And you guys still... Parents are weird. Mom was strange. So many things about it. Hit the like button, please. If you have the means to get yourself a membership, please do. We're going to be giving out members only Madeline Soto t-shirts. I have 4 of them. Some will go to members only. Later on, we'll do just a subscriber one. All right, guys. So look forward to that. Foxy Amazon, thank you for gifting one Guilty of Crime membership.
And John Ramsey, who instantly became the prime suspects in the court of public opinion.
What's going on there, ma'am? There's a ransom note here. It's a ransom note? Please. Okay, what What's your name? Are you Kathy Ramsey? I'm the mother. Oh my God.
The press went after them like wolves, dissecting their every move, every tear, every word. And as if that wasn't enough, the investigation was a complete disaster. The police fumbled their way through it like they had no clue what they were doing. Evidence was contaminated, mistakes were made, and crucial leads were flat out ignored.
I quickly pulled the tape off her mouth and her hands were bound. And I couldn't get the knot untied. It was really tightly tied. She had been strangled with a garrote. It was so deeply embedded in her skin that I didn't see it.
Now, here's where it gets even worse. Brace yourself. The most critical piece of evidence? DNA. And get this.
All right, you heard that? Most crucial evidence is DNA, and we're about to break down what it is, guys. She acts older than her age, absolutely. When you give children makeup and you dress them up in female clothes, then that's what happens. And now back then, social media wasn't anything back then. It wasn't like it is now. You put your daughter on there and you're getting a ton of chomos using that for a spank bank. And I hate to say that, guys, but it's very, very true. Yeah, very horrible. All right, listen up. DNA, very, very crucial right now.
It wasn't even fully tested back then.
The DNA.
Let that sink in. Nearly 3 decades later, we're still here, still searching for answers because the investigation from day one was a total dumpster fire. And oh, we're not done. Let's talk about the ransom note, one of the biggest mysteries of this entire case. And trust me, this part will send shivers down your spine. Because now, thanks to advanced DNA technology, we might finally be on the verge of cracking this case wide open. The DNA found on Jon Benet's clothes? It didn't match anyone in her family.
There you
go.
But
here's the real gut punch. The police had this information within weeks of her murder, and they ignored it. Just let it sit there, collecting dust. Hard to believe? You'd be shocked at how much crucial evidence law enforcement has let slip through the cracks.
Their minds on the first day that it was the parents. And we just got to find the evidence to be able to prove that. But we know it was the parents because it's always the parents. You know, they made up their mind on day one. And the conclusion was that my daughter.
And if you thought it couldn't get any worse, oh, it does. For years, Jon Benet's father, John Ramsey, has been fighting like hell to get this evidence.
And right after this, we're going to play that interview. You guys are going to hear. I don't think many of you heard it. A lot of you don't follow the Lori Vallow case as far as I know. And Nate Eaton's done a fantastic job. I wish I could get an interview with John, and I think I can. He was on Crime Junkie. He's been on a lot. He's trying to get the word out, and he wants them to test that DNA so we can all say, it's not them and point somewhere else. Yeah, I wonder why they're hindering the investigation. That's what we're talking about. We're going to talk some more.
It's retested using today's advanced forensic technology. He's been practically begging authorities to hand it over to real experts who actually know what they're doing. But for some shady, unexplained reason, the Boulder police have been dodging him at every turn, dragging their feet, blocking efforts, refusing to cooperate. Why? It makes zero sense. Why wouldn't they want to finally solve this case? Unless, of course, they're terrified of what the truth might expose. It's giving serious, we don't want to be proven wrong energy. And honestly, it's infuriating, not just for the Ramsey family, but for everyone who wants justice for Jon Benet.
DNA evidence found on Jon Benet's clothing, including her blood-stained underwear and from her fingernail clippings, ruled out the entire Ramsey family. But it did find a stranger's DNA.
And if you need a reminder of just how insane this case is, let's talk about that ransom note.
Right. As soon as we're done talking about the ransom note, we're going to get into the new interview with John Ramsey, right? I just want you guys to kind of see what we're talking about here, DNA, and then the ransom note, and how you think, JPL, what's up? How you doing, my friend? Wyatt, good to see you. Rosie, Michelle G, yeah, hit that like button. Little Misfit. It was homeless dude down the alley of the shelter, whatever. He was later arrested for something else and had a taser. Now they have DNA, so they're going to be able to test that if it is that guy or if it is Gary Oliva, guys. They're going to be able to test that, ladies. She was absolutely groomed. I agree. Groomed, in my opinion. All right. Ransom note.
Because, y'all, this thing was 3 pages long. 3! Who the hell sits down and writes a full-on novel in the middle of a crime scene? And the ransom demand? $118,000. Suspiciously specific, right?
Right.
Well, guess what? That was the exact amount of John Ramsey's Christmas bonus.
Yep,
now, tell me that doesn't scream inside job. Experts believe the note was written inside the house, possibly after the crime had already happened. And for years, Jon Benet's mother, Patsy, had her handwriting compared to that ransom note under intense scrutiny.
I have some hope. Yeah. I think DNA technology is advanced, continues to advance, and if it's used, may lead to a solution. I'm going to keep pushing, certainly, as long as I'm.
And he is. So we're going to show his interview now. We're going to go to Nate Eaton. I just wanted you guys to see and remember like the crazy stuff in the case and understand about the DNA and that letter. They're all still being taken into consideration.
Do you remember where you were when you heard about Jon Benet Ramsey and that she was dead and that it was awful, the circumstances, that it was horrific? Jon Benet was an American child beauty queen, killed at the age of 6 in her family's home in Boulder, Colorado. It was actually Christmas night, December 25th. Her body was found in the basement 7 hours after she had been reported missing. She had sustained a fractured skull. The autopsy report suggested she died of asphyxiation by strangulation, and her death was ruled a homicide. There was something around her neck as well. Of course, it was an instant story. News from all over the world was covering this tragedy. And part of the interest, I think, was for permitting the child to be in a threatening situation. Taken from her close career, as well as her.
Much of how law enforcement works has changed in the last.
Okay, we're going to play this real quick because this is up to date. This is where we go. This is 3 days ago, guys. This is this is Boulder police making a statement. Something is coming out and it's going to come out very soon. That's why all this stuff is happening. Whenever the media catches attention to something and something comes out that's new, that gets leaked from the police, it's not an accident, guys. And that's why I believe all of the new information that's coming out in the Soto case, new or old, or them revisiting, something stirring behind the scenes. All right, so let's listen to Boulder Police real quick, and then we'll get into that interview.
Last 30
Thank
years,
you, guys.
There are a number of things that people have pointed to throughout the years that could have been done better, and we acknowledge that is true. However, it is important to emphasize that while we cannot go back to that horrible day in 1996, our goal is to find Jon Benet Ramsey's killer. Our commitment to that has never wavered. For years, our detectives have partnered with multiple agencies across the country, including our federal and state partners, like the FBI and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, as well as several outside forensic labs and DNA experts, to evaluate the latest advancements in technology, viable tips, and investigative leads. Our collaboration also includes the Colorado Cold Case Review Team, which is a panel of outside experts brought together in December of 2023 to review this case, generate additional investigative recommendations, and determine if updated technologies and or forensic testing might produce new intelligence or leads to solve this case. That review took a year to prepare for and included an intensive effort to digitize all evidence to create a comprehensive.
And that's where we are right now, folks. Now, many police don't want to be wrong, but I got to tell you the good news about this is it was 29 years ago. And so many of the people that were deep into this case back then that don't want to be wrong are already retired. There's new generations of people coming in and a fresh set of eyes, right? And more than one. So that's where we're headed right now today.
And searchable database containing thousands of information files. Those files include more than 21,000 tips, over 1,000 interviews, which were conducted across 17 states and 2 foreign countries, Samples from more than 200 different individuals, including handwriting, DNA, fingerprints, and shoe prints. Nearly 2,500 pieces of evidence and roughly 40,000 reports with more than 1 million pages documenting the investigation.
Damn.
A fresh inventory of all collected evidence was made available for investigative review, which would not have been possible without the assistance of the FBI. The Cold Case Review Panel gave us a lengthy list of recommendations, which we are continuing to work through and evaluate. And though that review may have ended, our collaboration with those entities continues to this day.
Now, everybody, this was December 26, 1996. All right. So I graduated in 1997. I was 17. This happened in 1996, the day after Christmas. All right. JonBenét would be 32 years old right now.
I know that our community would like to know more information and specifics on our progress, but like any major criminal investigation, there is no way that we can share that information publicly without compromising the integrity of this case and any future prosecution by the district attorney's office. What I can tell you, though, is that we have thoroughly investigated multiple people identified as suspects throughout the years, and we continue to be open-minded about what occurred as we investigate the tips that come into detectives. I can also tell you that detectives are regularly investigating some aspects of this terrible crime, and I receive updates frequently. We are hopeful that the renewed public attention will generate more tips, and we encourage anyone who has any information to contact our detectives at the following email: bouldersmostwanted@bouldercolorado.gov. In the interest of transparency, I also think it's important for the community to know that our department has had ongoing conversations with Jon Benét's family, the last of which occurred in mid-2024, and we are committed to continued open dialogue.
All right, guys, come on, keep it
Jon
going.
Benet would have been 34 years old this year. She deserved to grow up and live her life to the fullest. Instead, it was brutally taken from her. Of course, those who loved and knew Jon Benet continue to grieve. This crime also haunts the Boulder community, especially every officer and detective who's ever been a part of this investigation. Every single one of them thinks about her and would love nothing more than to bring justice to her memory. I know the Boulder Police Department has not talked a lot about this investigation publicly, but that's, again, because no one wants to jeopardize any potential prosecution of a suspect. We must constantly balance the release of any information in an active and open investigation with the public's right and desire to know what's going on. To the extent that news coverage, documentaries, and miniseries keep Jon Benet's memory alive and could perhaps spark new information, we welcome any coverage that might allow us to finally bring the killer or killers to justice. At the end of the day, we must not forget that regardless of everything that has or has not transpired since 1996, a 6-year-old girl is dead, and we will continue to do everything in our power, along with our partners, to solve this case. Ideally, we would be able to go back and prevent this awful crime from happening, but sadly we cannot. However, moving forward, we're committed to investigating every tip and lead that comes our way. I beg anyone that has information that has not been previously shared with us to contact us, and that includes those responsible for this crime. Please help us in our efforts to secure justice for Jon Benet.
So that is video from the new police chief. Now, John tells me he is hopeful. He is hopeful that this police chief will take steps that have not been taken in the past, such as getting that DNA tested further to find out who killed his daughter. And now, here is my conversation with John Ramsey.
Yes.
John, thank you for chatting.
Right, there just is 3 days ago, guys. I know I was not paying attention. I just put a poll on Guilty of Crime. You guys can go check that out. I dropped a link down here. If you go into my post section, there is a poll. Go look. It asks you who you think did it. All right, let's listen to John Ramsey from 3 days ago.
Chatting with me. There have been some new developments as of late concerning your daughter's case. What can you tell us about the Boulder police chief?
Well, we met with the relatively new chief. Again, we've met with him before, but we did meet again a couple weeks ago with his staff. And I'm generally encouraged because they've kind of cleaned house. I mean, the Boulder Police Department was not good. It was a mess in terms of personnel.
Now, listen, what he's saying, I see people saying that the parents were friends with police officers. They've cleaned house 29 years later, folks. The guys that were the top detectives, the ones that were responsible, are either retired, no longer there. Some of them passed away. So there's a new, fresh set of eyes, lots of sets of eyes. And I don't think that's going to matter if there was somebody hiding for them. It doesn't seem like he's hiding, though. That's the thing. It seems like he really wants to get this solved. He's not just like there. He's not like Chris and Katie Proudfoot that are like, okay, let me sit down and script this thing for the audience. He really seems genuine. But yes, he's getting very old, guys. I think he wants to know before he passes, Patsy Ramsey's already gone. So,
and that was what caused our case to go nowhere. And they finally got that fixed. They brought in a new police chief. Citizens Review Board recommended 5 of their detectives be terminated. They dealt with that, one of which was the fellow that had our case for 20.
And thank you, Rosie. I didn't see that. Thank you so much for the 99-cent super sticker. And thank all of you. Welcome, Edith, Little Misfit, Nikki was 13. John Ramsey had nothing to do with it. Thank you, Ann Davis. I appreciate that. He's here fighting, guys. We all want to know what happened. So while we're at it, I just stopped for a second, guys. Do me a favor, hit the like button, get some memberships if you can. Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal if you guys have the means to donate, like Rosie. Thank you, Rosie.
8 years, and really was not of any. In fact, he was more of an obstacle than a value. So anyway, there was structural things fixed that needed to be fixed before anything would happen in our case. So we met. My motive in meeting was to strongly encourage them to use the latest DNA technology that's now available and has been so successfully used solving old cold cases the last couple of years. And we did have a representative from a DNA lab with us to be sure that we articulated what could be done well. And so we accomplished that. And it was generally a good meeting. I'm encouraged. I do worry that, small town police department is resource limited. And this is going to take some work. So
and likely some money to do the testing. Did you get the promise that it's going to happen?
No, we did not get a promise. They were very coy about what they intended to do. They listened, but didn't really commit to anything.
You're right in the fact that, technology the past few years with genetic genealogy has solved a lot of crimes all over. Do you think that if that is tested, that might solve and find who killed your daughter?
I think, yes, I do. Lou Smith, who was the detective that worked on this case that was brought in by the DA out of retirement, told me before he died that this case will be solved by DNA.
All right, so we're going to listen to this for a minute, and then I actually do want to hop on to DD because he says that John's fooling the world. Some don't think he is. I'm looking at him, and he seems genuine. Maybe it's just been so long that he's like, hey, we want this solved. Maybe I don't know. I don't know why he seems so genuine. And in other interviews, he's not. Other interviews, there's things that he does that seems like he's lying. And thank you, Tiffany, for the $10 Venmo. I appreciate you. All the support helps and goes right back to the channel. All right, so let's keep going. Let's grow this channel. DNA is all I've heard him talk about. So we're gonna listen to a little bit more. I feel like he's being genuine, but there's things that he lies about in other interviews. So I'm a bit confused myself.
Period. And he died about 14 years ago. He's a great man, great detective, legendary detective. So I think he's right. And he certainly couldn't have foreseen the advancements in DNA technology that's happened, but it has happened. And I'm convinced that if it's employed, there's a good chance that we'll get a solution.
It makes you wonder, had the technology been around nearly 30 years ago, which, by the way, it's crazy to believe it's been 30 years.
I know.
If this would have been solved back then.
Well, yes and no. The problem that what we were dealing with back then was a very poorly led police department. Frankly,
Right.
some misfits, very arrogant, no experience, so-called detectives, and they immediately jumped to the conclusion it's parents, because it's always the parents, and they were in the home, and this is going to be easy to solve this case. We just figure out which parent it was, and that was before any evidence came in. Before any background information, nothing. That boom, that was a decision. Let's go with it. And literally, that's what they did. And then DNA was recovered, and the results given to the police in early January of '97 that hey, we have unidentified male DNA on Jon Benet's clothing. That shouldn't be.
Oh, okay. So guys, let me put this out there for a second. So they're going off of the known male DNA that was on Jon Benet, right? Everybody has a little bit of everybody that is ever involved in something will have a deflection to look at something else. So is this just a deflection since they knew that they found that? Or do we think that he has something to do with it? Nearby neighbors, possibly. Burke was too young then. Now, hear me out. I really want to go over the Katie Proudfoot mostly because she talked about Sebastian in the past and she deflected. They both deflected on those damn lights in that neighborhood. So if there's one piece of evidence that can point away from them, they're going to hold on to it. Scott Peterson, there was a piece of tape that came from that damn van. They had a piece of duct tape, and that van a van robbed the neighbors. He's holding on to that. Right? The Menendez brothers, there's that from Menudo, there's a letter, and they're holding on to that. Is he holding on to this DNA and deflecting because he knows that maybe she was out there, maybe they saw people, maybe somebody that was in the crime scene that when they invited everyone over got something. I mean, I don't know. I did a poll, girlfriend. I did a poll, Carrie. And the poll option of other would help. Just do the poll. Go to my post and do the poll. I can't do all this while I'm streaming. Okay, so now we're gonna hop into this. So he's banking on DNA, folks. That's what he's telling us. Katie Proudfoot and Chris are banking on those lights. Now, even though the cops said they're ruled out, they're saying, oh, look at the lights over there. It's the lights. We're hoping for the lights. Even though Katie says, honestly, and I'd like to say, in other words, every freaking single thing that Deception Detective says in these cards, Katie Proudfoot uses. This whole deck was almost used in that damn interview about Sebastian, you guys. And I hope you guys agree with me because some people were saying, oh, poor Katie. Poor Katie. Look at her. She's broken up about Sebastian. I didn't see that. I did not see that, guys. I saw something much different. If Scott Peterson isn't, then he's got to be the most unlucky guy. Yeah, he's not innocent. I would bet my car keys on that. All right. John's pay stub on his desk in the house. The intruder was in the house when they were at the friend's Christmas party. There's a possibility. But hopefully the DNA comes back soon and it's not some ludicrous outside person that doesn't even make sense, because that's what they're banking on. That's what he's banking on. And maybe someone in the police department knows him and saying, oh, well, this is what this is going to get you guys the suspicion away. Now, John did another interview a month ago, and this was with the crime junkies. Let's listen to how John Ramsey fooled the world. And why are we saying that?
Show the ransom letter once. It's the only clue from the suspects. So why don't the Ramseys ever show the note in their interviews? I think the answer is the note is obviously written by Patsy, and their goal is not to catch the killer. How many plot holes are there in Jon and Patsy Ramsey's story? I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation. Before we get started, please hit like, subscribe, and notifications. Today, we're continuing Jon and Patsy Ramsey's first appearance on Larry King Live and counting all the plot holes in their story. If you missed parts 1 and 2, don't worry, I'll link them at the end. I'll also highlight some comments from those videos where my subscribers caught even more.
All right, so you guys got to tell me what you think, because he's saying, obviously, and so many people say that Patsy wrote that letter. How could it not have been her? Yeah, I will bet my car keys on that. If you need a car, there you go. Because that Katie Proudfoot interview was horrible, guys. Oh, wait. Hold on. Yeah, he's just still talking about
Or
DNA.
contradictions. Without further ado, let's pick up where we left off, with Patsy calling her and John's version of events a story.
But he's only heard one side of the story. You know, it's my understanding that one of the local TV personalities has asked him, you know, why won't you listen to the other side of the story?
There we are.
Why don't you call him and say, Governor, I'd like to sit down with you?
We offered to meet with him
Why does he
twice,
call us?
and he's ignored us both times.
You've offered twice to meet with him.
Wow, people
He
think
was even critical of Barbara Walters last week. I'm sure you saw that.
I didn't see his remarks, no, but I heard that.
Well, living with this, Patsy, you know the truth. Well, you don't know who did it, but you know the truth. You know you didn't.
I did not.
And you know you didn't.
That's the one thing we know with absolute certainty. The fact in this case is that we did not kill our daughter.
And there was someone in our home that night who did kill our daughter.
I believe her. I don't think John or Patsy killed Jon Benet, and I think the killer was in their house that night. The only thing I would add is that they know who the killer is, and they staged the crime scene to look like a kidnapping to protect him. If you've seen my other videos in my series, you already know who my top suspect is. If not, don't worry, they're about to mention him, and I'll explain my full theory the next time I pause.
And there was someone in our home that night who did kill our daughter. And we're going to find that person.
What are you doing to find them?
We
had a ransom for a while. I mean, you had an offer.
And we still do have a reward for information that's still standing at $100,000. We have active investigation that's been going on.
Your own?
Our own.
Are you still in business?
No. Yes, not intentionally or not choice, but it's both been difficult to work and we've got a terrible cloud hanging over us. And how about
Getting low, very low. This has taken virtually all of our savings in legal expenses and expenses involved with the investigation.
How's your boy done? How's he doing at school? Like his kids kid him?
Kids do not. He's got some wonderful friends. They kid him.
You guys, I'm looking at the poll and it's almost split down the middle that you guys think that it was either Gary Oliva that's already in prison or that it was Burke. And these people, the Ramseys, are looking at somebody inside their house is what they're saying. They're literally telling us, and we know someone was inside their house when they took her life because they didn't take it outside of the house and then put it in. And sorry if my internet's being a little bit wonky. They just did work. Dang Comcast. All right, because I got something else special for you. Just in a few more minutes, I want to talk about Ramsey's goals to find the kidnapper, and they say the kidnapper was in their house, but they didn't say it like they didn't. They said it like they knew, it was somebody that they knew inside the house. That's how I took it.
About things that boys kid each other about, that they don't kid about this. They protect him.
Why does Burke need protection if no one's teasing it? Maybe John thinks Burke needs protection because he knows Burke did something wrong. If you've seen the other 11 videos in this series, you'll know that I think John and Patsy have been protecting Burke since Christmas 1996.
Wow.
Here's a clip from my video, How to Spot a Half-Truth, where I lay out my full theory. And on this channel, we've come to the theory that the most likely scenario, based on the parents' own words, based on the stuff coming from the horse's mouth, is that Burke likely killed his sister, whether it was by accident or in a fit of rage, and then the parents, in order to protect their remaining child, covered up the crime and staged a kidnapping.
That's pretty bold for him to say that. That's pretty crazy. Deception Detective doesn't normally say things like that, but this is new. This is a new video he came out with, and there's another one that he did that was an 18-minute that points at Burke. So, wow. It's very interesting that he's coming like that hard. I mean, he's not even coming that hard at Chris and Katie, and he's coming that hard at the Ramseys, which is really interesting. Working on the Guilty of Crime Chalet. What's up, Leanne? How you doing, girl? All right, let's listen a little more of this, and then we'll hop over to what he's suggesting.
And some people might say, well, couldn't they just call the police? Or maybe they didn't want their son to have the stigma of murdering his sister. Or let's say they're extremely narcissistic and only care about themselves. Maybe they just didn't want the shame of being the parents who raised a little boy who killed his sister. So the exact thoughts they might have had, I know it might seem far-fetched, but it's far more credible than the Ramseys' version of events, which is riddled with plot holes, one of which is coming up next. See if you can spot it.
They don't kid about this. They protect him.
We'll be right back with more phone calls for the Ramseys on this edition of Larry King Live. Don't go away. They're with us again tomorrow night, too. Don't go away.
Come on, did he fast forward that?
We're back with the Ramseys. This is a picture of their daughter that you carry, right?
Yes.
This was pre-kindergarten, age 5. You carry that with you all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Look at it a lot?
I do.
You carry one? A couple things before we take another call. Some people ask why you didn't search the house right away, run through the whole house right away.
We thought we were dealing with a kidnapping. We really did.
There was no sense in looking.
Didn't. Yeah, I mean, I wish I had, but we didn't.
In the book, you write about the suitcase in the open basement window, but the police say you never told them about it.
Oh, that's false. I told Linda Arndt that I found the window open and I found a suitcase under the window.
That's
they
a
have
good question.
photos of this in their crime scene photos.
Crystal Lake, Illinois. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Go ahead.
Oh, my question was, why didn't you check the whole house immediately instead of waiting till later when you were asked to check the house?
I just answered that. They thought there was a kidnapping, right?
Right. We thought we were dealing with a kidnapping. We had a ransom note. Her bed was empty. We just assumed that's what happened.
This is the first inconsistency of this video, and it's a big one. If you're not familiar, I have 3 tiers of inconsistencies when I'm analyzing someone's story. The lowest tier is subjective, and that's really just an opinion, like when someone says, well, I wouldn't have done that if I were in their situation, so they must be lying. Frankly, it doesn't tell us much, but it's the one I see most often online. The middle tier is statistical inconsistency, and that's when someone's alleged actions don't line up with what people typically do in that situation according to research. It's not ironclad proof that they're lying, but at least
I do got to say that the police should have checked the house, but they had already, the police should have checked the house properly. But look at the Letitia Stout case. Gannon Stout was in the freaking, I don't know if it was a garage or the basement the whole time inside of a suitcase, you guys. So what about that? Now, these people knew exactly where to go. Why didn't they go there? If I were looking for my family member, my daughter, my dog, anything, I would go to every part of the house. So that is a bit, that and that ransom note is so hard to get past, guys, because it was on her Patsy Ramsey's paper. It was very specific, and I mean, there's so many things, right? They don't go against the ransom note. What's up, Ursula, David? Welcome. Well, everybody, welcome Ursula David. She's a new member to the Guilty of Crime family. Thank you. All right, let's listen a little bit more, and then we're going to get into the Ramseys' goal to find the kidnapper and what they think. Right now, they're saying it's an intruder. Somebody came in, did that. It was supposed to be a kidnapping. I also just heard that on the Chris and Katie Proudfoot interview. It was a kidnapper, but yet there were no pleadings to the kidnapper to say, hey, bring back Sebastian.
At least it's objective. And then there's the gold standard, internal inconsistency. This is when a person's own words and actions contradict each other.
There you
So
go.
it's not a matter of if they're lying, it's just a matter of when. In this case, John said they didn't search the house because they genuinely believed that Jon Benet had been kidnapped. But their other decisions contradict that, especially their decision to ignore all the threats in the ransom note. Here's how I put it in my video, The Power of Interviews. The Ramseys say they really believed they were dealing with a kidnapper. And in that note, the kidnapper said if they talk to anyone, even a dog on the street, they'll kill Jon Benet.
Right there.
And what do the Ramseys do? Not only do they immediately call 911, they don't even mention the threat or ask the police to take precautions like using unmarked cars. They also invite all their friends over. And in other interviews we've analyzed, express zero regrets about doing any of that. Of course, I think the reason for this plot hole is that lying is hard.
We just assume that's what happened.
The police right away were getting the lines ready to be, tapped so that when the call came that we would be ready. And Linda Arndt was going over with John, the procedure for all of that and what would happen next. So,
The note said not to call 911, right? But you did anyway.
You had no choice. We couldn't have sat there. The note also said, I will call you tomorrow. We didn't know if tomorrow was that day or the next day. We couldn't have waited. We'd have gone mad.
Police also say digital enhancement indicates that Burke was awake and asking questions when you called 911.
Well, some police claim they think they hear that. We would challenge the police to release that tape.
Make it all public.
Let's make it public. We'd like to hear that tape. We've never heard it. That is not our recollection of what happened that morning.
And as you said earlier, you would make your lie detector public.
We would insist that it be made public. If we're going to do it, let's make it public.
Make everything public. I said, you want to see an interview? Publish the interview that I had with Tom Haney. Let's talk about.
Who's he?
He's the detective, homicide detective from Denver that interrogated me for 3 days. The governor, I believe, said that Barbara Walters was too soft on us. I said, well, why don't you take a look at Tom Haney's interview and see how soft an interview
Was he accusatory throughout the interview?
Oh, absolutely.
Now, again, it's been 29 years, you guys. It's 29 years and we're still talking about this, but DNA is going to come out soon and maybe it's going to blow all of us away. I don't know, because many people think that it was part of a ring, like a pedo ring, right? Michelle says if they thought she would be hurt, they called everybody to home and kept the phone line busy calling people over. Well, it also reminds me of the Murdaugh case, where the crime scene was completely contaminated. So I don't know. She was assaulted with, there were a few objects that assaulted her, guys. All right. We thought that, but how did somebody get into the house, write such a specific letter, and then the family not follow those instructions? That's what gets me. It could be. You're absolutely right. And I wonder if that person's even still alive to match the DNA. All right, let's take a look at what the parents are thinking here. And then we will, oh my God, you guys, I have so much to talk about on not just this case, but so many other cases. I'm dying. I wish I could do them all today. All right, I really want to cover the Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrandt, the devil inside you guys. There's something that is just outrageous that I learned when I watched the Hulu documentary that I want to share with you guys. And yes, if you're wondering, do I believe that Jody and Ruby were lovers? Abso-freaking-lutely. And I'm going to prove it to you when I run that case. I don't know if I'm going to do it tomorrow or the next day, but buckle up, guys. Like, subscribe. Make sure you got all your notifications, because it's going to be a big week with a lot of information, guys. All right? Listen up. The Ramsey's goal is to find the kidnapper, right? That's what we're here for as well.
Find the kidnapper, but they don't cooperate with police. The kidnapper is still at large, but when officers visited their house, they sent Burke off to a neighbor's. The kidnapper is a predator, yet they defend the beauty pageants. Wouldn't grieving parents at least question if that's what put Jon Benet on the killer's radar? So what do all these contradictions tell us? It's hard to make up a story without any plot holes. Even Hollywood blockbusters can't do it. Let's watch John and Patsy Ramsey on Larry King Live to see if we can spot any, and what that might reveal about who actually killed Jon Benet. I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. For more like this, please hit like and subscribe.
We're back with the Ramseys. You almost immediately became suspects. You know why? Or the public perception of suspects?
Well,
was it because of the bathing, because of the...
No, I think the tragedy...
Way before that.
The tragedy of this investigation was ended on December 26th. Linda Arntz, the lead detective...
Yeah, guys, and we're here for the victims. Those children are going to be healing, and I want to talk about that as well. Right now we're talking about Jon Benet Ramsey. This case may be very close to being solved. The new interview that we play with the dad, John, says that they have DNA and it's almost out there. The testing's been done and they've been trying to match it. So is it Gary Oliva? Many people think it is. But besides the this case, Jody and Ruby, abso-freaking-lutely, I wouldn't question one bit. Jody was like possessed, she was growling and telling in weird voices, she's mine, she belongs to me, she's mine. I'm going to tell you guys. So stay tuned for that episode, because there's things that are going to blow you away. Unseen footage. Oh my goodness.
Was there, went on national television a few months ago and said, I knew the father did it because I saw it in his eyes on the 26th. I didn't act right. I was too calm, cordial.
How did you react when she said that?
It was a bit incredulous, but it also illustrated the bias we were dealing with from the very beginning.
Right. But do you think that had something to do with the fact that your daughter entered pageants?
I think the decision was made at that time. Detective Arndt didn't know Jon Benet. She didn't know.
When did the public first see pictures of Jon Benet in her outfit?
I think that wasn't until after the first of the year.
While I do think John and Patsy covered up Jon Benet's death, I agree with them that criticisms of how they grieved or how many times they blink are too subjective not to be biased. That said, the physical evidence the Ramseys used to push their intruder theory aren't much better, especially the DNA. I'll explain why next. For now, just pay attention to their story.
Don't you think, John, that caused a stir in people? I think most people say, I wouldn't have my child do it, even though many do.
Many do, and it was a wonderful thing that Patsy and Jon Benet enjoyed doing together. It was certainly misinterpreted, I think, and it's one of those things that the eyes of the beholder.
But it led to those stories, jealousy.
But that was several days afterwards. I mean, we know that
during
Linda
those days.
Arndt made up her mind, and the rest of the Boulder Police Department, we believe,
you were
made up their
okay.
minds
That it was
the
someone.
26th of December.
Oh, it was us.
You know, that it was the parents.
Is that because they found no entrance into the house?
We don't know.
Well, we know, Larry, that a window was open. Under that window was a suitcase as a step to get up through it. We learned later that they found a door open.
Again, it's very interesting, though, how open these parents are, and they're talking about the case. They're talking about the crime scene evidence, folks. That I don't think that would fly today. I don't think we can get on there and be telling people what the evidence is. Now, I don't know how much longer there is, how late this was and what was put out, but I sure wouldn't be telling a potential person that took my daughter's life. I wouldn't be giving evidence like that. And it's a far stretch from Katie and Chris, who sit there and say, I can't say that. I don't want to compromise the investigation. So it does make me wonder when I feel like they're being very open, maybe. But there are a few lies in there. I agree with that. But it's not just red flag after red flag. And the DNA, if they find that match, and they've ruled out the family. I don't see how it's going to come back to Burke, but let's listen.
Which I didn't know about until almost a year later. That house was
There's a
not
lot of
difficult to get
evidence.
in.
The police that were there the morning of the 26th, taking evidence, have a lot of tangible evidence. They did a good job at collecting evidence. We have fibers, we have DNA, we have a lot of evidence. The problem was that then they did not take the evidence to
Unmatched DNA, palm prints, boot prints. What do these really tell us? Honestly, not much. Dozens of people walked through the house that morning, contaminating the scene. Any of those things could have come from anyone at any time. Despite what
All right, there's my Leo twin, Sharon Belko. What's up, my girl? I'm back today, and I'm feeling good and feisty. What's up? Good to see you, my girl. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, this is crazy. I'm excited for this whole week, guys. I'm all fired up.
What the Ramsey PR team might want us to believe, the presence of third-party DNA on Jon Benet's body doesn't magically exonerate John, Patsy, or Burke of the murder. Anyone who held Jon Benet or shared a seat with her could have left that latent DNA. That was a clip from my video, How to Analyze a Theory, and it sums up my take on the physical evidence in this case. It's irrelevant because it's inconclusive. So if we can't rely on that, what can we rely on? Here's the Assessing Stories card from my deception deck, my 52 favorite rules for spotting lies and manipulation. As you can see, the 4 major tells of a made-up story are reasonableness, tone, inconsistencies, and contradictions. When I hit play, listen out for all 4, and then I'll explain what we can deduce from that.
Why did they think it was you?
Because the police always go after the parents. And we understood that after
the death of a child?
Absolutely. 100% of the time.
Really?
Absolutely.
Well, I think, in every case, parents are always suspected initially. And at first we were aghast at that, but then we understood that we needed to be investigated.
The police
they stopped there. They didn't go
police say that you would only, you put guidelines up to the interviews. You only be interviewed together. Why?
I don't remember.
I
don't remember.
You didn't give them any guidelines?
The only guideline I remember, the only request that we made, and this was after a huge gap of mistrust developed. The police withheld Jon Benet's body for burial to try to force us to submit to their terms. The 3 of us be interrogated in the police station before we buried our daughter. And we were horribly offended at that. And this huge gap of mistrust developed.
Let me tell you what develops in this as a father and what other people say. And the reason I think that you're under this cloud. Most people would say, if I didn't do it and my daughter killed, I'm talking as a father, and I don't like to bring myself into it. 1, I'll answer any question. I'll take any test. I'll meet with you. I'll be there first thing in the morning. Catch the killer.
And they're doing pretty good compared to nowadays, folks. You look at Jennifer Soto, and she's like, hey, hired this guy an attorney. And you look at the Proudfoots, and they're like using Sebastian in a past tense, trying to blame it on some crazy lights and point this way and this way. So I think they did pretty good for back then. I just want to see the freaking paperwork. And yes, I believe that absolutely, that no matter who took Jon Benet Ramsey's life, they absolutely staged that crime afterwards. I do not believe that is exactly what they did to her. I don't think they got the garrote and did that and did that. It was staged. Whatever that they did do, I know it was strangulation, suffocation, but I don't believe that that's how it was. I think they staged it. Right. And it's just so mind blowing that they staged it and the family didn't even find the body for like how long was it? Like a day?
I'd cooperate in every way. That's I'd go out with the cops. I'd give them my fingers. I'd give them my five.
We did that.
We did do that.
We met with them on the 26th. We met with them on the 27th. We gave hair, blood, fiber samples on the 28th. We left.
We stayed in Boulder, Colorado. We stayed there for testing for,
Why did they say you were uncooperative or some?
I don't know. This is it's a what we need to do is get down to the objective here. The objective is to find the killer. I can say a lot of things about what the police didn't do. They can say a lot of things about what we didn't do. But let's put that aside. Let's put politics aside. Let's put egos aside. There is a dangerous killer loose. We believe this killer.
Right, and whoever that dangerous killer is, folks, staged a scene and they knew exactly where to go, where to hide the body, how to get access to that paper, how to use things inside, take enough time to sit there and write that. It just doesn't make sense. And these guys are like, yeah, there's a killer out there, but that killer out there, if it wasn't them, has to be somebody really close to the family, guys. It's gotta be, because there's no freaking way. I still don't understand why they called the peeps over all the family and contaminated the scenes, but something's going on here. It had to be. You cannot move around in a house like that and do the things they did. And yeah, she had a skull fracture. So once they hit her with something in the skull, in the head, you don't strangle someone first. And then when they're done, oh, let me just hit them in the head and let's do the. It just doesn't work that way. Now, suffocation, yeah, you're going to relieve yourself. She did have pee stains on her panties. That would happen if you're getting strangled. So that's more consistent, but some of the other things just way too staged.
If he's still alive, we'll kill again. It's time to get on with that.
You worried for your other boy?
Yes, I'm worried.
Worried for neighbors?
I'm worried for this entire country. There is a killer walking around out there someplace. Lou Smith tells us that we can... Detective
Lou Smith is the only homicide investigator that's ever looked at this case.
And he says definitively that there is enough evidence to find this man, but the public needs to know it. It's been.
Why would the police not want to solve it?
We don't want to know.
I think the police are passionate.
It's you?
They're passionate that it was one of us.
We'll be right back with more of the Ramseys. We'll go to your phone calls in a little while as well. This is your program too. Don't go away.
The Ramseys' goal is to find the kidnapper, but they don't cooperate with police. The kidnapper is still at large, but when officers visited their house, they sent Burke off to a neighbor's, away from police protection. The kidnapper is a predator, yet they defend the beauty pageants. Wouldn't grieving parents at least question if that's what put Jon Benet on the killer's radar? And let's not forget they never heeded the ransom note's threats, which I broke down in my last video. So what do all these contradictions tell us? Potentially that John and Patsy know the kidnapper isn't a threat because the kidnapper doesn't exist. Let's continue assessing their story.
By the way, Alex Hunter.
The deception detective is really convinced that it has to do with them, and he's really focused on Burke. That's what this episode's talking about right here, or this segment. And yeah, they do talk about housekeepers, and they talk about there's a lot of people. Gary Oliva, the housekeeper's husband, didn't make it too far. I've seen a couple people say that, but that's just not something that, unless the DNA comes back, then I could understand. Yeah, the garrote that was there, the knot that was tied in that. There's so many things, people, that just say it came from the inside of the house, right? And then, yeah, you brought up the taser in the house and them getting one. Yeah, so many different things. I just want the DNA to come out and find out who this person is, because by now, 29 years later, I would think they would have committed another crime.
To the DA in question, said this morning on the Today Show that he had a 4-minute conversation with you. When was that?
I believe that was his first press conference.
You were there, or he spoke to you before it?
I was not at the press conference. I was in a conference room listening to the press conference and was so moved by his determination to find the killer of my daughter. I asked my lawyer, who was there with me, I said, can we get him on the telephone? He looked at me and said, what do you want to say to him? And I said, I want to speak with that man.
What'd you
Please
tell
get
him?
him on the telephone. And I said, thank you. As a mother of a murdered child, thank you for your willingness. I mean, he looked at that camera.
Yeah, I appreciate Deception Detective too, and I love the collaborations. We do I think we're like a dream team. We talk in his forum, etc. Love him. This one is a little bit off from what I'm thinking, as well as the Proudfoots. He now has changed his mind that the Proudfoots, and I don't know since the interview that maybe the Proudfoots didn't stage the hoax. Maybe it wasn't a hoax that was staged. Maybe Sebastian just left the house and they didn't care that much because he's a handful anyway. I have a lot more theories on that, but this case, I'm not so aligned with what he's saying as of right now. And thank you. I won't say your last name, Carlisa, for the $25 Cash App. I appreciate you, girl. Thank you. All right.
And said, we will find you. We will find you.
You like him?
I like the fact that he's determined to find out who did this, and he wasn't going to rubber stamp the police decision, that it was John and was me.
That's another thing that hurt you, John. I mean, press-wise, lawyers, PR people. Why'd you need a lawyer?
We didn't bring in lawyers. A good friend of mine who was at our home where we were staying, delivering food, sensed that something was wrong and needed to be done. He took me aside and said, John, would you trust me to do some things here that I think are necessary? I said, yes, I would. He requested that we have counsel. And at the time, we said, what do we need lawyers for? He said, well, I think it's prudent. So what do we need two lawyers for heaven's sakes? He said, well, it's the way the system works is each person has to be represented by their own attorney. And what Mike saw became painfully and publicly clear when Linda Arndt told us
that they were out to
on
get
national TV, they're out to get us.
But there are some who might have said, I don't need any lawyers. I didn't do it.
I just
didn't do it.
That's what we said.
I don't need lawyers. I don't need PR. I don't need nothing. I didn't do it.
Let me clarify
didn't
one
have
thing.
PR
We didn't have a PR.
No, you never did.
No.
That was
a myth.
Our attorneys hired a
and they didn't have PR like Seth and the Proudfoots do, guys. I wanted to shout out to Sweetie. I didn't get to yesterday. Sweetie sent me some candy. She made these rose candies. You can't see the back because it's a green screen, so the back looks like, but beautiful roses, and she gave me a ton of it. I think they're Jolly Ranchers all made out of it. So anyway, this is some candy I'm eating that Sweetie made me, you guys. So hit Sweetie up. I don't know if Sweetie's taking orders, but like I said, for the folks that are sending me gifts and sending me the things that they make, I got the Guilty of Crime mugs. I got some candy now, a few other things that people are sending me. If you guys want to send me stuff and have me shout it out on my show, I'm more than happy to. All right. So thanks again, Sweetie. I appreciate that. Yeah, Sweetie's a sweetie for a reason. She made me a ton of candy. Look at this bag of candy I got here. So yeah, that's that. I got the t-shirts from Madeline Soto to give away to you guys. We're going to be doing big things here. I think we're going to hit 25,000 subscribers real soon, guys. So let's keep going. Yeah, it's very good. I'm going to eat some of it right now.
Media information person. They were getting 300 phone calls a day into their office. They couldn't cope with it. They hired someone that could be a focal point for all these calls from media. That got translated by the media as a public relations spin doctor.
You did that one interview with CNN and then stopped doing it. Was that a mistake? Should you have done more? Or was it a mistake to do the CNN one?
Hindsight's 20/20.
What is your hindsight?
My hindsight is I never should have moved to Boulder, Colorado. I mean, if you want to go back, but you can't do that. You have to start with what we have now. We have to move ahead. We have to try to find this killer and get him off the street.
How'd you react, John, when people said you weren't mad enough? You didn't appear angry, hurt, really whacked. I mean, you lost this beautiful little girl. You lost a daughter before in your life. I mean, we all look at it from our own perspective. You're a different personality.
Well,
I would be berserk.
Larry, inside I was berserk. I was crushed. I didn't want to live. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. It's the most horrible feeling. I've lost two daughters. And for people to tell me he didn't act right, I take great offense to. I think I could write the book on how you should act. With my first daughter, it was an accident. They were on their way to a museum at noon on Friday, and they got hit by a truck. Both her and her special friend were killed. Jon Benet was taken intentionally by another human being. That is far worse to deal with.
Did that tell you someone?
Why does he say someone took her? Does he think that someone took Jon Benet and had her, and they found her the next day. I'm not so sure why he says they took her. She was in the house the whole time, y'all. I don't know. Kim Watts says, I usually know in my gut on the difference. Don't know what by when it happened. I would have said Burke. Well, that's what we're talking about right now, folks. Nothing set in stone. Go vote on my page for that.
Want to know her?
I don't really think
Do you have a gut on something like this? Why you? Why her?
I don't know.
We told the police when they first asked us, who you have any ideas? We said, look, we don't know anybody this evil. This was an evil person that did this.
This person, this man, this human being, we've already hit contradictions and inconsistencies. So now let's analyze reasonableness and tone. Reasonableness is simple. Made-up stories can't account for all of life's messiness and detail, so they're often unrealistic. A prime example, of course, is how the Ramseys never took the ransom note seriously. Tone, however, is more subtle.
I didn't
The gist is
either.
real victims usually use strong emotional words about their attacker. By contrast, hoaxers often sound more detached, either because what they're describing never happened, or they're trying to shield what did. In this interview, the Ramseys referred to the killer as this person, this man, this human being, which are all oddly neutral. Stranger still, they did use the appropriately harsh words like monster or creature or murderer, but only about other elements of the case, like who could have written the ransom note or broken into their house. Why this change? Well, if you've seen my other videos in this series, you know that I think it's because they're not describing the same person. Maybe they can't bring themselves to label the real killer with such harsh tone because it's their son Burke, and maybe they have no problem calling the kidnapper names because there is no kidnapper. They made him up. I'm about to hit play, but before I do, I just want to point out that when John said he could have written the book on how to act when you're grieving, that might have been an example of leakage. So let's put a pin in that, and we'll touch on it the next time I pause.
Did we know them? I can't imagine we did.
Back with more of the Ramseys. We'll include your phone calls. They're with us again tomorrow night, too. This is Larry King Live, and the book is The Death of Innocence. Don't go away. Take one of these. We're back. We're going to go to your phone call. Stuart, Virginia, for the Ramseys. Hello.
Yes, I was wondering, do you think that someone may read your book and come forward with valuable information? And has anyone already contacted you that has read your book?
That is precisely our hope. We believe that if the public, this case is going to be solved through the help of the public.
Now, 50% of you say you think Burke did it. So if you go over to my post, half of you are literally saying it was Burke. That's what we're talking about right this very moment. How did Burke do it? There's an intruder exposed. How did Burke do it if he did? And what are the parents saying about that?
That was one of the primary reasons we wrote the book. And yes, we received probably about 30 emails and letters a day. Many of those are just expressing concern and sympathy, but a few of them have been interesting leads, and that's how this case can be solved.
And you must get some anger too, right?
Yes, we do.
I mean, you must get
about 1 out of 10 is a hate message. Yeah.
Nashville. Hello.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Am I on?
Yes.
Okay. John and Patsy, I would like to know what your feeling is about the position that the governor of Colorado took as a public statement in positioning you of being guilty, and why did you hide behind your attorneys, and why did you hire a public relations firm to represent you?
Oh, yes.
Another PR situation. He didn't write the letter, Marcy. The whole thing about the Ramseys here is that they did not want their son, if he did this, to go to prison. They did not want to lose their daughter. Now, he wouldn't have been tried as an adult. He was way too young had he accidentally hit her in the head with something, or something happened and a fight happened between them and they staged it. So he absolutely would not have written that letter. And Nanaska, thank you so much for being here. The Ramseys and the McCann should get together and compare notes. There's no mystery what happened to either girl. And Nanaska, your email's fantastic. I wrote you back. Let me know what you think about that, okay? All right, let's keep going. Let's talk about, if that's a situation and Burke did it, he was way too young to have written a letter, come up with that garage and all the other staged things that I believe were staged.
The last two already, and they said the attorneys hired the PR firm to handle the right?
Now the governor certainly has accused us of continuing to hide behind our attorneys and our PR firm, and I wish that he would tell me who this PR firm is, because I've not gotten the bill, and it must be getting huge by now.
What did you make of it when he did that? He was on this program the night after the press conference. What did you make of it when you saw it? Couldn't believe it.
I could not believe someone in a position of authority as he is would say such a thing as that. After a grand jury in his state spent 13 months of time and effort and hard work, and then he disregarded it.
Well, he said you were not cooperative.
Well, I don't know how you could say that. I wrote a letter over 2 years ago to Alex Hunter, and I said, you need to understand, Mr. Hunter, we have no confidence or trust in Boulder police, but we will meet with your investigators anywhere, anytime, any place for as long as you would like. I wrote that was a personal letter I wrote to Alex Hunter over 2 years ago. And that was our position. No one wants to find this killer more than I do.
So what do you think the governor was political here?
I think the governor was purely political. It's a terrible thing that he has chosen to advance his political career on our family tragedy. I have no other explanation for it.
All right, if he's doing that, he must think that most of the people in Colorado agree with him.
Certainly more than voted for him in the election, perhaps. I don't know.
But he's only heard one side of the story. You know, it's my understanding that one of the local TV personalities has asked him, you know, why won't you listen to the other side of the story?
I'm trying to think, why don't you call him and say, Governor, I'd like to sit down with you?
A story. That's an interesting choice of words. In fact, it could even be an example of leakage, when the truth unintentionally slips out through someone's choice of words. The card for my deception deck is on your screen now. Another possible example.
Leakage is huge, you guys. Let's learn that. Let's learn these things from this case. Whether you agree with Deception Detective or not, this whole deck can be used. And I've chose not to do the Sebastian just yet because people are still running it 24/7. Every channel I look on is doing live stream about Sebastian, which I don't know how because it's just hours and hours of the same stuff. But I do want to do that, and I do want to show you how bad that came off, you guys. And welcome, Teresa. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Hello, girl, and everybody else that's here. Only me, baby. Only me, baby. I'm gonna call myself. I'm gonna change from Jay Scott to Only Me, baby. All right, guys, let's keep going.
Is John's comment earlier about writing a book on how grieving parents are supposed to act, while he is on Larry King promoting his own book, which ironically seems to do exactly that. He also said something in part 1 of this interview, which might hint at how Jon Benet actually died. My video analyzing that segment is on your screen now. Check it out after this one and let me know in the comments if you catch it. I didn't spell it out in that video. There's plenty more to unpack in this interview, so if you want a part 3, let me know by pressing like. Stay true.
All right, guys. So we went through a few different scenarios today. The bottom line of this case is that DNA is there. DNA is being tested. It's coming, and we're going to find out whether it's whoever people are saying. I'm going to put my poll up real quick so you can see it. The poll will be closed once we look at this. Take a look. A lot of people don't know what that means. If you go to my Guilty of Crime page, it's on my Guilty of Crime page called Posts. And I put it here. I say, who do you think took Jon Benet Ramsey's life? 17% say Gary Oliva. 18% say the parents. 10% say a homeless guy. And 56% say Jon Benet's brother, who is Burke. That is Burke. Carly says, I'm still torn. Teresa says, hey, baby. Hey, baby, it's me, baby. Hey. All right, so you guys know how to get to my poll page. I also wanted to scroll down a little bit and show you. And I see some people, I pray they find justice. Sadie's mama says it could be a pedo ring. Associates of her father's pedo ring. Look up Medium, Sloan Bella, and Candace Starr. Yeah, I do look them up. I just don't ever use that stuff on my channel. But while we're here, why don't you guys take a look at the Justice for Maddie t-shirts. Sid says, I love Guilty of Crime. Well, thank you for supporting the channel and being a member for 8 months. I've got lots of members here. Sadie's mama, 11 months. Melissa Johnson, 10. Been around for a long time. And Synth for the 8 months. All right. So you guys want to win a Justice for Maddie, t-shirt. I've got 4 of them. I'm sorry I don't have extra large or 2X, but I do got 2 mediums, 2 larges, and I really want to give them to those people that support my channel, which is you guys. Thanks again, Synth. Yeah, it's a great t-shirt for Maddie. Let me have you take a look. I'll bring it down. I know a lot of people on my channel found me through the Madeline Soto case, and there it is. So you want to win a free t-shirt. There you go. You guys gotta, for this particular one, well, all of mine, I only ship in the US. I'm sorry. I apologize. But this is the shirt that I got. I got 4 of them. It came with the remembrance service. And yeah, there it is. So thank you, sweetie. Sweetie put guilty of crime. She wrote me a little thing. It kind of broke off, but it's okay. We love it. That's my baby Reese's hand, which is not such a baby anymore. But yeah, you guys, we're going to have a giveaway. Only me, baby. I'm here, girl, supporting you. Justice for Maddie. Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys. I'm working on that, Melissa Johnson. I'm not exactly sure how. I have a spinny wheel for you guys. For the very first one, you guys, I've got to have to support my members that are official crime crew. So for the first one, we're going to do a drawing, and anybody that's in green and I pull up as a drawing, make sure you're subscribed. You got all your notification and you're green. We'll start with that. And then I'll also give one away to anybody that's a subscriber. I want to make sure I give all 4 of them away. I love the shirts, but I want you guys to have them since you're the ones that is supporting my channel and you have been. Okay, so I want to make sure that you guys go over there, comment on that, drop a comment and drop a just drop a comment on there, and you'll be entered. I'll probably do that this week when I bring the new content for Madeline Soto. Now, there are new pictures out there. We have those. If we don't, we're about to get them this week. So, Carly, take a look at what I texted you. We got to get on this. I don't want to use anybody else's. I want to make sure we use our own from Guilty of Crime. Teresa, Justice for Maddie. Rachel Burton's in green. Christine Taylor says, I love that. You're so sweet, Jay. V. Louise says, pick me, Jay. Rosie, Chatterbox, good to see you, girl. Thank you, Leanne, and everybody that supports my channel, even when I'm not just doing the Madeline Soto case. I appreciate you guys. Faith and Repent says, I don't know anything for the facts of the case, so I can't speak on the friend, but I'm interested in how he became involved. I know they found DNA with no match. Well, they're working on that, and we're going to hear something real soon. Carrie, thank you for being here. They said in the new interview he is still alive. That's good. That's good. What I'm saying is we don't know who the DNA is going to match to and if they're alive. They can't know that. They can't know that. So, Sharon, love you, girl. So good to see you in here today. I'm glad you must be getting a break. You're from Canada. Ah, that sucks. Canadian shipping is so expensive. I shipped a book and it was like $60. All right. Hints on who did this. I'm glad for all of you guys to be here. Come back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. And let's do this again. All right. You guys hit the like button and share all the fun stuff. I love you guys, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace.
Guilty of Crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of Crime.
Are you guilty?